One of the 3 items of trivia for this is just in 2018. In 2018, they sold a feature-length adaptation of their short film Night Swim about a woman terrorized in a pool by an evil spirit to James Wan, Atomic Monster. McGuire set to direct. I mean, that's not trivia.
That's not trivia. Unless it's what year was XYZ sold to James Wan, and that's not fucking
and
trivia.
That's barely even trivia.
It's just like, not trivia.
Not in the sense that we...
No.
Like, you know what you're looking for when you go to IMDb for trivia, you know? And it's not just, like, a list of facts and dates, like a history book. Like, you're looking for, like, something fun or interesting.
Here's some interesting trivia. Ants have heads. Did you know this about ants trivia? This ant trivia? Mandibles. Got them. Legs attached.
Ants have heads is a very funny example to go to. That's some real gotcha journalism.
Show me the lie.
Right there.
Show me the lie.
Show me the ant lie.
You just wait. Next trivia night, they're going to be like, all right, now for the ant section. You're going to fucking flip your lid.
I'm not even going to bother with it in the actual episode. But the only even remotely interested... There's 3 items of trivia. One of them's not. And this other one is... the swim school that Izzy is asked to join is called the Harold Holt Swimming School. Harold Holt was the 17th Prime Minister of Australia who disappeared while swimming.
I mean,
which is like
that's kind of funny.
It is a funny little detail to add to the... But also just to like, oh yeah, remember that Prime Minister that like went missing while swimming? We have to reference him in our pool movie.
Goofy as fuck.
Hello there, fellow swimmy users, and welcome back to The Devil's Cut, a horror podcast specifically covering aquatic-based horror. That's the whole show. We do nothing but horror that takes place in the water. I'm your resident man-boy possessed by a devil, Matt Young, and here with me today, as always, is my co-host, the skeleton everyone should want in their closet,
Eric Rossi. If we're an entirely swimming-based
all
horror...
swim-based horror.
They're called water wings.
Swimmies.
You say swimmy arms?
Yeah, or floaties.
Who the fuck says swimmy
floaties.
Arms? What planet
I didn't say swimmy arms. I just said swimmies.
That's also nothing.
That's what they call them.
They're water wings.
They're swimmies or floaties. Water wings is acceptable too. It's a colloquialism. Every place is going to call them something different, but
do you call them jimmies?
No, ew.
Right,
what,
they're
for sprinkles?
They're sprinkles, yeah.
Yeah, of course. I'm not a monster. Well, if you hadn't guessed from that little intro, today we have a nice aquatic themed movie we're going to bring you. Today we're going to talk about Swim Fan.
No, that's not it. Try again.
The Reef?
Nope, not The Reef.
Open Water.
Not The Meg.
Shark Night.
No.
Lady in the Water.
Oh, I wish we were covering Shark Night. That movie's great.
We'll save it for Shark Week, which we will do. We'll do Shark Month. We'll stretch it out.
We said that last year too.
Well, yeah, but we ended up doing Amityville Summer instead of Shark Summer.
True.
You had a stronger put together pitch than I did. So we'll see what happens this summer. But no. Today we're talking about the first horror movie of the new year, Night Swim.
Yay.
Night Swim is a Blumhouse Atomic Monster collaboration. It is produced by Jason Blum, James Wan. It is written and directed by Bryce McGuire, who is coincidentally the writer and director of the short film by the same name from 2014.
I find little coincidence. I think it's a one-to-one.
Isn't it so weird that he made a movie?
How coincidental.
He made a movie called Night Swim, and then they had him make another movie called Night Swim. It's crazy because they have nothing to do with each other.
Unrelated entirely.
They're almost unrelated entirely movies. The movie is starring Wyatt Russell as Ray Waller, Kerry Condon as Eve Waller, Amelie Hoferle. I had to do a YouTube pronunciation check for her name just because I couldn't figure out how to say it.
The robot voice sounded almost more
Amelie Hoferle.
That sounded
Had even the AI voice had a question mark.
It was so unconfident in its ability to pronounce that name.
And Gavin Warren is Elliot Waller, and any other character in this movie really is not important or really at all relevant.
I do want to get this out of the way, like up top though. I genuinely thought the mom the entire time was Betty Gilpin of The Hunt fame,
from The Hunt and what was the wrestling show? Glow.
Yeah. The entire time I'm like, oh, this is like a woman. This is like a Terminator woman. I can't imagine her playing this. And then when I saw the IMDb that it wasn't her, I was like, who the fuck is this lady?
No, I actually checked Kerry Condon because she looked so familiar to me. I was like, she has to have been in a horror movie that we've talked about, but she isn't. She's really,
incorrect.
Yeah, she's really not from a whole lot that I'm familiar with, so I don't know why she stuck out to me.
She's mostly just the voice of Friday for Marvel.
Everyone's favorite Marvel character, the AI voice that replaced Jarvis at the end of Avengers 2. Well, also, but hey, we got 2 Marvel alums in this movie.
Oh yes,
but like C tier Marvel alums, where it's like we were characters that people don't really talk about.
I bet you they're on set like, are you still getting checks?
Hey,
I stopped getting checks.
Wyatt Russell's got his own movie coming out, so.
And he's always in the big Godzilla series, the Monarch series with his dad.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, him and his dad are playing the same guy in different time periods.
Oh my god, I never made the connection that Wyatt and Kurt were related. Didn't you literally do this like 10 minutes ago with a different...
Yeah, just before we started recording. I was like, I just found out that Maggie Gyllenhaal is like a Gyllenhaal.
With like Jake.
With Jacob.
They acted as brother and sister in Donnie
I know.
But yeah, I totally did not realize that Kurt Russell and Wyatt... The name, the Russell last name doesn't like...
Yeah.
Like it doesn't scream like, oh, of course, royalty, the Russells. It's not like the Skarsgårds.
Okay,
obviously we know all of them. But wow, I cannot believe I just put that together. But anyway, so Wyatt Russell, you said this when we got out of the movie, the first time. Wyatt Russell feels very wasted in this movie because I feel like he is a very capable actor who just keeps getting weird roles that don't know what to do with him.
Yeah, I watched an interview with the leading cast, and they both talked about how much fun it is to do like horror movies because you have the director and the rest of the crew are really like playing around, doing fun stuff, and they get to use all these interesting tools because they're doing weird stuff for her. I'm like, I don't see it in the fucking movie, dog. I do not see it. Like, he just plays so, like, reserved in this, and even, like, when it's spoiler alert, gets, like, possessed later on, he's, like, just, like, kind of threatening. Night Swim,
again, is based off of a 2014 short film by the same name. This movie, the 2024 entry on IMDb, like this one that we're talking about.
Currently.
The description on IMDb is a woman swimming in her pool at night is terrorized by an evil spirit. That is the summary of the short film.
I was about to say, that's not what happens.
Which is not what this movie... This is a completely wrong description of what this movie...
It's like one scene of this movie.
This is a scene... Yeah, a scene from this movie. But, like... I also went back and I watched the first reveal trailer for this movie, and it is also very misleading as to what this movie is about.
No surprise.
Because the first trailer of this movie would make you believe that it's like a small location kind of set, that like maybe the movie is just like takes place in this house with the swimming pool. Okay. But really what this movie is about is baseball.
Yeah.
And spends almost as little time in the pool as it can get away with, it feels like.
Yes, I feel like so little of it occurs inside or next to the pool.
It's a spooky pool movie.
What it really is, it's a movie about the inability to recover from sports injuries.
He doesn't have a sports injury in this movie. He's got MS.
You don't know he didn't get MS playing sports.
You don't catch it from baseball.
Prove it.
If I could, I bet there's some baseball officials, some like team owners who would pay heavy money for the information I have. But yeah, so what really is it's a baseball movie with a haunted pool in it.
True.
It's not a haunted pool movie.
Our favorite
it's an
metaphor.
It's an evergreen anecdote there, or an evergreen joke. The fucking Crimson Peak really gifted us with something. Yeah, so basically what this movie is about is that, yes, it's playing off of the concept of the short film, and the contents of the short film are in this movie. Because the short film is basically, yes, a girl is swimming in her pool at night. She goes underwater. There's lots of cool underwater camera work going on. And while she's under there, she like looks up through the ripply water, and she can see like a figure standing above her. She gets out from above the water, out from under the water, and nobody's there, which is a scary concept, right? And it works for like a 8-minute movie. Yeah, obviously they were going to have to do more to expand this to like a feature-length tale. It just feels like they went in like a really wild, incorrect direction with this. Because basically what happens in this movie, so instead of like one girl in one location, this movie focuses on a family, the Waller family. Ray Waller's the dad, played by Wyatt Russell. He's a ex-baseball star. And I wrote this down in the notes that they claim he used to play for the Brewers, and I'm like, that's like a perfect middle of the road, like no one's gonna question this team, like, because nobody ever talks about the Brewers, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody's not even Brewers fans like really talk about them. They are not a baseball team you hear about. So I'm like, all right, I see what you got. You're not claiming he's a Yankee, right?
Yeah. He's not starting for the Mets, yeah.
That's why people in this movie, there's some deniability to, like, if people recognize him in this movie. Not every interaction is like, oh my god, from the Yankees, Ray Waller. No, it's like, from the Brewers, whatever.
Hey, yeah, whatever. He got traded from the Orioles.
So he's retired from baseball because he was diagnosed with MS. He and his family are looking for a place to settle down because being a baseball player, his family was like constantly on the road and moving because he kept getting transferred, which also doesn't like. Does it speak well to your baseball career if you're constantly being traded? Is that good or bad?
Yeah, yes and no, because you could be getting traded for like a much better contract. But also you could be getting traded because they're like, well, this guy's half good, and we want that one really good guy.
How funny would it be if, like, even if he didn't have MS, he was like one season away from getting canned anyway. He's just like the worst baseball player.
Like, this dude misses every fucking swing.
Yeah. So the family's on the road. They end up buying a house that has a haunted pool. A haunting ensues, and then the movie ends. It's basically the extremely spark-noted version.
I find it easiest, and we had talked about it right after seeing it in theaters too. Like, I think the easiest comparison to this movie is something along the lines of one of those Amityville sequels.
It really felt like Amityville.
But the problem is, what's entertaining and like worthwhile about the Amityville sequels, like even the crazier ones that we covered, they go so fucking bonkers with some of their shit that you have something to latch onto and go like, wow, that's fucking crazy and weird and wild. Why did they do that? In this movie, I feel like it's just like 30% away from being crazy enough to like bring it back around. Because, like, it feels like it takes itself so serious, but then, like, listening to the, like, interviews with the cast and the director, it's like, oh, you guys thought you were really, like, being goofy and playing around and having a good time, but, like, it's so boring.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed the movie more than you.
Significantly.
I don't think it's a good movie. You don't think it's a good movie. You think it's actively a bad movie. I don't think it's a good one. So, but I will say there are, like, shining moments of cool stuff. Like, there, you can see the Atomic Monster Blumhouse, like, influence. Like, it's like I can feel, like, the hint of the house style that has developed over the years between the two studios. Now that they're merged, it's going to be even more, like, solidified stylistically. You can feel it here, and when that stuff shines through, I think there's, like, really, really cool, memorable, enjoyable stuff.
I will give you that. It is, like, visually speaking, it is a very contemporary, like, Blumhouse movie. It is, like, it's feasible in that sense, but I feel like it's just, like, missing some heart and some personality that would really set it apart.
Yeah.
Like, it clearly, to me, it clearly feels like, oh, Blumhouse dumped this one in January because that's where everyone dumps their shit movies for the year.
Well, I think what does... So you're right. The cinematography, I think, saves this movie a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I think if you're like, a real cinephile and you watch movies to see... Like, to act... Because you actually pay attention to, like, the camera angles and the shots and the lighting and the composition. If you're really into that stuff, I think you are in for a treat with this one. The story is lacking... But there's some really good camera work going on, especially in the water-focused scenes.
Yeah.
I know the cinematographer, his name is Charlie Saraf. He, like, did an interview and he based, like, all of the water scenes, like, he referenced Jaws, like, very, like, heavily, which I think is very fun. And editing-wise, it also, I think, was helped by some good editing. The editor of this movie, James McAvoy, or Jeff McAvoy. James McAvoy is a different guy. Different guy. Jeff McAvoy, he was the same editor on Megan. And he did a good job on Megan, too, so.
He did do a good job.
So we got good, like, back-end, like, team, some good active teamwork, like, out, like, in the filming of the movie. So there's a lot of good stuff going for it. I just think where it really falls short is there's some acting performances that are, like, they just whiff. You know, not that they're bad, but they're just bad for the movie.
Yeah. I think, because just right off the bat, premise-wise, Haunted Pool, that's your movie?
Not bad.
Okay, sure. It's right up there with, you know, like, Haunted Spoon, the movie, and, like,
I would watch the fuck out of Haunted Spoon, the movie.
Oh, yeah,
Can we write that?
But the thing about Haunted Spoon is that, like, it's gonna be inherently crazy. Haunted Pool is, like...
The smaller it is, the crazier it gets. But Pool's sort of like a middle-sized thing to haunt, so it's middle scary.
And it limits you, I think. I think, like, if you're going to do a Haunted Pool movie, like, most of your haunting has to take place in and around a pool.
Yeah, and this movie does take so much time away from the pool that I think it really hurts it.
I needed, like, 5 people in the pool, like, please, come join us, get in the pool, it's so good in here in the pool.
That would have been cool. Yeah, so for me, what went wrong with the movie was I think it was the movie's way too complicated based on the premise. Like you said, premise is haunted pool. You can go big, but big doesn't necessarily mean complicated. By complicated, I mean we have a whole, like, baseball subplot where, like, the dad's a baseball star, the son is on a baseball team, but he's, like, not really that good at baseball, so he's like, is he disappointing the father? Is that something we're going to explore? A little, but not really.
Yeah.
Also, the daughter joins a Christian swim team.
A Christian swim team is so funny.
Which we never get back to. We have, like, basically that whole joining of that team was just a pretext for having her meet this guy that comes over for one other scene.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait, why? We do all that?
She didn't need that.
We spend so much time. There's, like, a whole... We do... Of course, we have the big, like... third act like research montage where we figure out the person living in the haunted house finally like gets up the gumption to go to the library and like spend 10 minutes figuring out what's haunting them. You know, we have that scene, but then it goes in. That scene leads into like a whole other there's too much going on, and so much of it is very far away from the swimming pool. So that makes the movie like it's like too all over the place. I
just feel like the pool is like a one-trick pony that they didn't spend any time like even trying to teach new tricks. They're just like, well, we know what we can do with the pool stuff. Moving on.
Yeah, and that leads me into the rules of the haunting are all over the place. They're ill-defined and just they're just all over the map. And then that all leads into like what I think is just like a really lame ending.
Yeah.
Just like an extremely boring ending that like I could have written, and if I can write it, then Hollywood should have no excuses. Like you got to come up with something better than what I would put, you know, if I was just like doing my first draft ending of my horror movie.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, so I think, but you know, so I think it's a bad movie. I think there are a lot of enjoyable things in it, especially if you are like a fan of the genre or just like a film, like somebody who enjoys the process of filmmaking. I think there's stuff to enjoy. Now, if you're a casual viewer, how do you feel about it? Do you think this is like a cash? Do you think people are going to like this movie because it's just like simple and stupid?
Honestly, I think it's like baby's first horror movie. Like it's not that scary. I don't think there's anything too dicey or too gory. I think it's something
couldn't be
you
too
could...
gory because
PG-13.
PG-13.
Yeah, had to know that was coming. But
a death sentence almost every time.
Yeah. It feels like you put this on for like 12-year-olds. And even then, maybe a 12-year-old would be like, this is dumb.
Yeah, I was honestly like surprised that when we went to see it in theaters, there weren't at least like 10 other like 13-year-olds who were leading me down a path that is straight to prison because I murder them all, you know?
Oh my god.
I swear, if there is a universe where that world's Matt Young is just in prison for killing like 3 13-year-olds because they pissed him off at a movie theater. The line is very thin between that universe and this one because it happens every time I go to the movies and people are like talking.
I want to know what kind of face tattoos movie Massacre Matt has.
Prison Matt? What kind of ink does Prison Matt have?
He's got one popcorn tearing out of his eye like... Yeah, this was me at the Cineplex. This was the Cineplex kills.
If like inmates start getting like custom tear-shaped tattoos just to be like
differentiate,
just to be like, yeah, I'm hard, but I really like popcorn, so I had to put popcorn there.
I got bodies. You see all these popcorns?
I got a sweet tooth, so I have all these jelly beans coming out of my eye.
I got one jelly bean for every Easter I massacred.
But yeah. So it's unfortunately a not very scary movie either. Too, there are some like most of the scares are jump scares because that's sort of like the PG-13 fare, right? Because if you start to get you the problem is like you can't ever be truly like too terrifying of the PG-13 movie, because if you really want to scare, at least, you know, for me, I think like you have to be like so like grotesque and horrifying, you know, and like gruesome that like it's too bloody, it's too gross, it's rated R. Or you are, because this has happened before.
Yeah,
your movie isn't necessarily like bloody, but it's just the very like ideas that you're tackling are so existential and terrifying.
Yeah,
they're like, that's too scary. R.
Yeah,
you know, R. It made me feel icky, and I had to watch 8 episodes of Friends before I went to bed. R.
I questioned my reality around me. R.
R. You know, and so you can't really get that with PG-13 movies, which is a shame. Not, you know, we've talked about it before. It's not that there aren't good ones. It's just like a real uphill battle.
And the thing I think we need to touch on is, being that it's a pool movie, it's a water-based horror movie, so the implication of drowning is like right at the top of your head, right? It's right at the front of your like possibilities of like, oh no, this bad thing could happen. They do the thing where like people go underwater and are swimming around underwater on like one breath
for like 20 minutes.
10. It's so fucking long. Like, have you ever watched one of those movies where you're like, all right, I'm gonna hold my breath with James Bond here, and I'm gonna watch him do this underwater fight and see if me and James Bond would be able to, you know, hold our breath long enough to survive this. And usually it's like kind of close, or like either like okay, that's realistic, or 100% unrealistic. And this movie's 100% unrealistic.
Well, I usually underwater stuff. I usually put in the camp of like immediate disbelief suspension. You know, if I know there's gonna be a lot of underwater antics. You know, you just have to assume, like, for the sake of movie making, like, it's not going to be super realistic. Especially because, yeah, you and me can, like, sit there and be like, all right, Eric, you and me, we're going to hold our breath until this scene is over. And let's see who can hold our breath the longest. Is this movie realistic? Like, we can do that, but, like, especially if you're in the character's circumstances, like, you're not only just... There's a difference between, like, going, like... in like the comfort of like a lazy boy, when compared to like you are swimming with all your might deeper and deeper underwater, so you've got like pressure to contend with plus physical exertion. Like, that's gonna cut your breath holding time like into like a fourth.
Yes.
So like there's a scene later, like towards the end of the movie at the climax, where Mom she is holding her breath.
She's like 40 fathoms deep.
Yeah,
too.
seriously.
She's like
now
diving.
it is ghost water too, so that's another reason why my brain was like, Matt, it's ghost water.
Eat my ass. Fuck you, ghost water. Ghost water. Fuck
It's
off.
ghost water. How do we even know what we experienced was even like real? Because we're talking about like the ghosts make you see things. I don't know. This is why I tend to enjoy most movies. Is because my brain just turns off. You know,
it just fucking bends over backwards.
It
to suspend
barely
disbelief.
turns on when I get up in the morning. So like, it doesn't take much effort for it to be like, just we sat down. We don't have to think critically anymore.
Here we've kind of like talked about it a little bit, but I feel like the movie suffers from straddling the two camps of like, we're taking this seriously, and then like we're not taking this seriously.
Yeah, because you get a lot of like really, because again, this is mostly a family drama with like ghost stuff sprinkled on top.
Yeah,
a lot of the movie is them the family genuinely like trying to navigate how to deal with a like depressed father figure who can't provide anymore, who's feeling emasculated because he can't, like, he's too feeble, he can't play baseball anymore, he's like, he has no fun, he's no drive, he's just like sad guy.
He says in the movie, he's like, I'm tired of being the sick guy all the time.
Yeah, and it's like so much of it is just a really like down to earth, like a real story that, you know, it feels like this could have just been its own, don't put the ghost in it, just put it on Lifetime. Like, and we would have been...
Yeah, you could have the same, like, oh no, I got hurt in the pool and now I'm drowning, and like, it'd be more tense than what happens in the ghost pool movie.
Yeah, it does, it tonally is all over the place, which I did mention earlier. It goes from this, like, really, like, grounded, like, tale of, like, a family coming together, like, to face adversity, and then also just, like, the goofiest pool shenanigans, and like the possession in this movie is like so telegraphed, and not like, I say what you will about the Amityville movies, but at least like the onset of the like full possession is like a slowly paced, like fairly successful burn most of the time, if nothing else works in those movies. But in this one, it's just like, oh, I like that pool. It makes me feel good. Yeah, I'm possessed now. Like it happens so suddenly because there's only like ever like 2 scenes with the pool like actually doing its thing and possessing the guy.
I would love to have seen like maybe, and we took bets on it going into it too. We talked it like when we were like on our way there. We were like, all right, how many people do you think are gonna die? How many people do I think are gonna die?
Low body count this movie.
It's extremely low. I needed to see like one scene of like dad hip deep in the pool, like just kind of standing still, cut to someone struggling underwater, and then we never see that motherfucker again.
Yeah, well, we do get a couple scenes of him swimming, which are good, but then we forget about it for the rest of the movie. I guess we should let's just like give our spoiler call now so we can start talking about some other plot related stuff and really get into like some, because I can't really describe as easily without spoilers like why this doesn't work.
Okay. But before we do, I just wanted to mention the director, like we said, it's kind of like his first step into the major leagues. Baseball pun intended.
Yeah, extremely intended baseball pun.
Bryce.
Not a bad showing.
Bryce McGuire. Not a bad showing, but
I'd say this is like your first big, like, and this spun out of a short you did. Like, if it were me, I would be thrilled with it. I would be like, he made a movie, right? We're not making movies.
No.
So.
But I bring him up specifically because he has mentioned his...
And what is his name? Bryce McGuire.
His next project is this movie called Bad Bloom. It's a horror fairy tale starring and produced by Vera Farmiga.
Oh, shit.
Which naturally takes place near the water on a remote island.
More water.
So I'm interested to see what he has to do next. I don't think the problems with this movie stem entirely from him. I would like to see what he can do with a rated R movie.
I think the rated R, the unleashed chains that like being able to do an R movie gives him, I think will help. Also, I think this was a challenge because he had to adapt his script from a 8-minute short to like a feature-length film, like I said earlier. That's got to be like tough. And I feel like it's easy to start getting carried away by like adding more because you're like, oh, I can't be, if I had my way, if I was making a Night Swim movie, I would have just taken the short film and stretched it out, like, all intervention from like production aside, like no, whatever they want to say to me, I don't care. It doesn't have to be this big, like, we don't have to get a whole family together. You can make a movie like this is another Blumhouse movie too. Let
me guess, Hush.
Yeah.
I knew exactly where you're going.
Yeah, it's like you can do Hush, right? Like that was like a big, super successful movie. 2 actors in it. Had the spooky guy and what's her face from all of the fucking Flanagan's wife. I hate that I've reduced her to that because she's so much better than Mike Flanagan.
So much better.
She's so much better than Mike Flanagan himself. But I am really bad with actor and actress names. I've had to like learn like director names and stuff by doing this podcast, and it helps because like I have to familiarize with like myself with so much of their work that their name starts to like bleed in. But like actors and actresses, I'm still like, fuck, give me IMDb.
But yes, so all that discussion aside, we're gonna talk a little bit more in depth about the movie. I don't recommend going to see it.
No, this is a wait for stream.
And then put it on like if you need to do dishes in the other room and you need to entertain it.
Wait for, you know what? Pet. Do yourself a favor and wait until like your body is in like is in the spirit for a pool movie. Wait until summer.
Yes.
If this movie came out like July, I think we would have a little bit of an even better feeling about it because we would just be in the like vibe of like a pool movie.
Perhaps, but honestly, I don't know how much credence I can give that theory because it is still not a good movie.
I'd say wait for your like summer get-togethers and throw it on then.
But also, man, this movie would fucking eat shit in July.
Yeah, it would.
Man, stacked up against literally anything. Paddington 3 would fucking demolish this movie.
Paddington 3 would demolish most horror movies. I don't know what movie on our end of the year list like would survive Paddington 3. I don't think any single one of them. But yeah, all right. So, like we said, the movie, it's pretty straightforward. Family moves into this new house. The pool is haunted. They start experiencing all sorts of pool shenanigans.
Pool hallucinations.
Pool hallucinations.
Pool hallucinations, I like it.
And, the haunting and possession starts to get worse and worse until eventually they deal with it in like, the most uncreative, like, haunting movie way, which is just like, we beat it and we're leaving. Bye. Like, yeah. It's like there's no explanation as to why anything works. The thing just seems to the ghost, I guess, just decides, well, the movie's got to end, so I guess I'm leaving because they were hopeful. No. It's like why the rules to this haunting like need to be more clearly laid out so you can then make a like ending that feels satisfactory.
I think one or the other direction. Either make it like super easy, like here are your rules, or make it like completely vague.
Well, yeah, but when you're being completely vague, you need to do like a color out of space, where nothing is off the table, and you just the fear comes from like how alien its behavior is.
Yeah.
This movie is not that. I was hoping, remember we bet that like you thought this was going to be a ghost movie. I thought the pool was going to be like some sort of like Lovecraftian like portal to the where Pennywise hangs out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
Womp womp.
Yeah, I was way disappointed. I really thought it was going one direction, and then it really did just turn out to be just a regular old, like, haunted pool. They tried to get me back in with the... Because turns out it's not even a haunted pool. It's an evil wishing well.
Originally, there was, like, some kind of, like, bog there, right? And they realized that the natives wouldn't go in it because they're like, no, it's fucked up. We don't fuck with that. And then the land was developed, and they turned it into a well. And then after that, it got redeveloped, and they put a fucking pool over it. And it's a natural...
it's like natural water.
Yeah.
It's not spring water, but it's not spring water, as I'm saying. It's not like... The water that is magic in this movie, you would not put in your mouth if you had any option.
Yes, when the water decides to be magic, it becomes like fucking charcoal toothpaste. It's bad.
It's brown and gray and dark and icky, and it's like this. Like there's a scene where where Wyatt he reaches into the pool's like sphincter and cuts himself, and instantly I was like, that's tetanus. That's like 8 tetanuses right there.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to get 50 shots. It's gonna be the worst. Like the
water-based parasites, gross. Everything. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like it makes it easy to just get it out of the way now and tell you guys that the pool is like a haunted wishing well, because it kind of like paints the whole rest of the movie the way you like need to see it.
Yeah.
So like you said, it's a old bog that got developed over time to the point where like people used to worship it, but they were always like we find out later that they were like cautious because it's like a wishing well, but it's like a monkey's paw wishing well where
there's a price.
It gives you what you want, but you got to pay a price. Except it's less interesting than the monkey's paw because those are always like fun, ironic like punishments that you get given.
Yeah.
This one is just like, just kill someone and give them to me.
Let me eat a kid.
Yeah.
I'll
eat a
kid?
One.
Put a kid in the pool. Let me eat a kid.
And so like you just have to sacrifice somebody, and then the pool gives you what you want. right? That's what the water does.
Boo.
And it's like, all right, you know, it's pretty lame. I like the idea of a malevolent wishing well, but this is not that movie. Like, I would have needed, like, more fun, like, more than one wish. Because, like, the wish in this movie is like, oh, I wish I could play baseball again.
Yeah, at any cost.
Yeah. and so the family is sort of, like, paying for the father's wish, you know, to play baseball again. So he, like, spends the whole movie swimming. He gets, like, healthier, you know?
Yeah.
As time goes on. And so then, obviously, as he gets healthier, like, his family starts getting, like, assailed more and more by the spirits of other people who were sacrificed to the pool. So, like, they hang around and just do the pool's, like, dirty work. Right?
It's weird. It's like Coraline, where, like, some of the spirits are like, no, we're evil, we're in on it. And then other spirits are like, no, this is how you get out and save yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like, well, who's in charge of these guys? Like,
Yeah.
and why do some of them go willingly along with this? Also, there's like one ghost that's like predominantly featured, and it's this just like lumpy, bloated, like fat guy ghost, and I'm like, is that the pool, or is that the water, or is that just another ghost? Is that like the oldest one? And he's like, I've been here the longest, so I'm so bored, I'm gonna get to work.
I think you'll twist your brain into a pretzel trying to suss that out. It's just like so unnecessarily.
Right, like I think it would have been scarier if we just didn't know anything about the pool.
Yeah.
And if there was no goat, like if there was no, like, if you could see a creepy arm or something, or a hand try and grab in here and there, like, that would be fine. But, like, when you start throwing in all these other ghosts, why are they why?
It almost makes it less scary when you give the ghosts, like, a face, like you're saying. Like, if you just see a hand or you see, like, a silhouette here and there, that's fine. But, like, once you start really seeing the face of just, like, ghosts and, like, people in makeup, I'm like...
I'm okay with it, but it just doesn't work for the making this like a scary monster, because it just gets confusing, because like, are the ghosts working for it? Why are they working for it? If like, is it because their spirits are damned? But if they are, why does like the little girl ghost get to be the one that like gets to break the law and like help out the people? But yeah, like, I don't know. So like, to address some like points, so I took notes like while we were watching the movie. The movie opens up to it's like a cold open to the only kill in the movie.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
There's two deaths in the movie. Only one of them is like an active kill, I would say.
Yeah. And
it's the very beginning. It opens up and there's like this like there's a summer of 1992, and it's the same house that we're dealing with, you know, in the present time. There's like a little, like a really, really cute little Asian girl. She looks like the chick from the Meg, almost. I was like, oh, is that her? But no. And she, like, her brother is really sick, and like he's in like a sick bed, right?
He's in a sick bed.
He is. He has like a hospital bed in his bedroom.
Yeah. Sick bed.
It's a sick bed. She like is looking out the window to their backyard where the pool is all lit up, and like this is like one thing that keeps like reoccurring throughout the whole movie is she sees like this little toy motorized boat that just like makes this funny noise like and it's just like puttering around the pool, and like a main cast sees it like the whole movie. It keeps like showing up from underwater going like I'm like, there's that fucking dumb motorboat again.
In the way you mentioned before, how like he was like really looking at Jaws for the like underwater stuff. The fucking motorboat really is like the fin of Bruce. It's like anytime you see it surface, you're like,
the pool ghost is coming to get us. Yeah, and so like the little girl goes outside to get her, like, because I think it's like her brother's. She's like, oh no, my brother's boat. I gotta go get it. And then this scene happens multiple times in the movie where it's like, and we've all done it in real life, where there's something in the middle of the pool, so you grab like a noodle or like something, and you're like, come on, and you're like trying to get the water to like, you're trying to get the like a little tide going,
create a little momentum.
Come on, And and so people in this movie, this is like a constantly used device that is referencing an experience we've all had, but it happens like so many times in the movie. You're like, oh my, okay, are they gonna fall in? Because like the little girl, she's like reaching out to get the boat, and you're like, oh, she's gonna get pulled in because there's no way this chick's surviving this open.
No.
So she gets pulled into the water and then like flailed around, like you can see her whole body's getting dragged from like the left side of the pool to the right side of the pool, and she's like screaming, she's like, ah! She looks like she's like Kermit the Frog, when he gets crazy and his like arms are flying all over the place. This little chick's just like, and so she bites it. She gets pulled under the water, and this is the same girl that helps save the main cast at the end of the movie. But she's also the only death, which is very, very disappointing.
Right, we talked about it earlier this week, like just you and I. Like even like in Megan, like we killed like 5 or 6 people.
There's
it's
a decent amount of guys got.
You can still kill some people. Get some fucking. I need a body count in this fucking movie.
Yeah, you got it. You got to do something fun in the pool movie,
Yeah.
But and then so it cuts from summer of '92. Then we get back to modern day. This is when they don't live in the house. The family. What did I say their name was?
It starts with a G, right?
It's highly possible.
Or no, W? No.
That's because it's Wyatt's first. Oh, it is W. It's Waller.
Waller.
So the Wallers, they stumble upon this house, right? Because they're like I don't know if they are looking like they're house hunting or if they're just driving through.
No, they're specifically house hunting because they want to move him closer to the hospitals that they're working with his MS for.
Right.
So they're trying to find somewhere that's like a little more like grounded where they can kind of put in roots and like settle down instead of traveling for his career all the time. So they go and see all these fucking houses, but they're all in these like specific like health and rehab based like communities, so it's almost like a hospice like house for your family, and he hates it, and he's like, if I live there, I'll feel like I'm living at the hospital. Like I want to go and like find something a little more suburban, a little bit more like comfortable for our whole family.
Yeah, there's also like, and so they stop at this one house, right, and he like becomes like mesmerized at the sight of this like shitty mucky pool, right? He like sees it and he's like, oh, I'm like, this pool that's an infection, right?
Yeah.
Just looking at it and you'll get sick.
I saw this funny quote from the director where they were talking about specifically his like the character's like fascination with the pool and like how it can relate to the viewer, and they were talking about how like think about it, like the pool, they try to get so philosophical and artsy. They're like, yeah, the pool is like the American dream, so like it kind of really says something bigger about like the experience of like buying a home and like finding success. I was like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
They are right. It's just that that's not what the movie is talking about. No. So that whole like there's no emphasis on that. So that whole thought process just gets
they're like,
lost.
Isn't it like so poisonous how like the idea of like having a pool could like lead you to? I was like, shut the fuck up. Get out of here.
Well, I watched a few interviews with the whole cast and crew, and they all seemed. One thing I will say about this movie is they all seemed to like have a really good time. Like they all got along with the director, like the crew, the actors, stunt people and stuff. Everybody seemed to enjoy themselves. So like that's pretty nice. You love to hear that. You hate the like when you hear about like, oh, I love that movie, and then you hear that it was a like HR apocalypse on set. I love The Shining, but anytime I watch it, a little part of me, anytime what's her face is on screen,
Shelley Duvall.
Yeah, every time Shelley Duvall shows up, I'm like, this was not a good day for you. You just feel so bad. So we always love to hear that everyone had a good time on set. But like for all that, like they talked about in the interviews that like about all the like, oh, everyone has those memories of being afraid of like, you're in a swimming pool by yourself and like, you're afraid there's a shark in there.
Don't have them.
You lived next to, like, you lived at the beach, essentially. Like, you would, like, the way I picture you growing up is, like, the Cheaper by the Dozen house, where there's just, like, everyone's got, like, there's, like, 80 people living in the house, everyone's got, like fireman poles that slide down to the kitchen where you like go to eat your breakfast, and then you would like take your like secret like treehouse zip line straight to the beach and just but like your life's like a cartoon.
Have you not been to my home, like my childhood home? Like, we don't have fire poles.
I know you did take me there once, but I think for the sake of like whimsy, my brain chose to not apply that.
But yeah, no, I just don't. I personally can't relate to the like my fears of what is scary about a pool have absolutely nothing to do with what normal people are afraid of in a pool. Like I swam
so you didn't
all
have
through high
any...
school. I swam a little bit in college, like competitively. It wasn't. It's just like this movie just does not
do it for you.
Does not
connect
inspire
to you.
Any primordial like fear of. Like,
I will say
still water.
I will say as a kid who was afraid of everything that both existed and could never exist. I definitely had that fear of like it wasn't like an active like I wouldn't go in a pool, but you're like swimming around. Everyone's like, hey, we're going to have hot dogs. Do you want one? I'm like, no, I still want to swim. And then all of a sudden there's nobody in the pool and you're like, I can see all of the water around me, but I feel positive that there is a great white shark in here somewhere. It's just like a completely irrational fear.
It just doesn't even... How?
It wouldn't. That's why it's irrational. It doesn't make any sense, but that's like a feeling that people have. I've experienced it. I know other people have.
Friend of the pod, Dylan. Big time. I wonder if he's still afraid of the pools. Dylan, if you can hear this, are you still afraid of the pools?
This movie. We should have had him on. Not even... He didn't even have to watch the movie. We should have just been like, come on and talk about how scary pools are.
And a prologue of Pool Fear by Dylan Snook.
Yeah, but the problem one of the other problems I have with the movie is like, yes, that like I saw that they were, behind the scenes they were channeling these ideas and these like fears, but in the movie practical, like I didn't it didn't come across to me in the viewing,
No.
Like all the scary stuff that happened was just very generic bullshit horror movie shit.
It was just Ryan Reynolds in the Amityville remake walking around with an axe.
This movie really is a diet Amityville movie. It really is. Because basically what happens is like, so we started explaining, they move into the house, you have the like generic like beginning of the movie, everyone's happy and everything has a yellow filter on it.
Wow, a new house, everything's coming together.
Isn't life so great? And look how likable we are. That like 10-minute montage.
Yeah.
This movie has it. This movie is very cliche.
Yeah,
it just very, very stereotypical. Uses a lot of horror tropes. One of my favorite horror tropes is the haunted house realtor woman. The one who refused to disclose that that there was a death that happened there.
Yeah, like 100 deaths. Yeah, and then later on they have
she only fesses up to knowing about the one.
Yeah,
and then she's like, and then it was weird before that too, but I don't know nothing.
It's just so this idea that like you would invite your realtor to like a housewarming barbecue at your place is fucking crazy to me. I'd be like, yeah, thanks for selling me this house. Yeah. All that money you got off me selling this house can get you the fuck out of my life. That's
is your commission not enough? You need like an afternoon of free dogs and beers to like get out of here. It's true. Please message us if you have a relationship with your realtor. I want to know what the nature of it is.
It's like buying a car and then like a week and a half later you like call up the guy your car salesman and be like, yo, we're joyriding with road sodas. Come out. We're gonna go see the stop signs at the edge of town.
Nope, it's not even like that. Because what it is the same thing it's like in this movie, which is like inviting the guy who sold you your car to a backyard barbecue for your family and your son's baseball team. it doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that?
Oh, just imagine one of those baseball parents.
I know
Whose kids? You got a kid on the team? Like, no, I actually sold them the house. You're like, what? What are you here for?
It's just like being like, hey, I know you have the weekend off because you don't have to work overtime because you took all my money. So, I know you're free. Why don't you come down? My son and his whole baseball team are going to be here. Doesn't that sound relevant to you, car salesman?
Hey, let me get you a beer. Anyway, which kid of yours is on the team? Oh, I'm actually their dentist. I just got invited for funsies.
But yeah, so the family moves in and didn't we say the reason, like, there was like this whole, again, because we got to tie baseball to it, right? So like when they first are seeing the house, like Wyatt Russell's character like is like, he sees the pool but he sees like a baseball floating in it, and it's like and looking back at the movie, when it first happened, I didn't know how much baseball was going to be involved, so it didn't like occur to me to roll my eyes then. But looking back, I'm like, oh my fucking God, of course. He sees a moldy baseball floating, and he does the same thing where he's like, oh, I got a cane, but I'll use my cane to balance, and I'll reach really far out to get that baseball. And then he just fucking face plants right in the water, almost drowns.
Yeah, he falls on a tarp.
And then and that's just like one out of a million, because a million instances of baseball taking away from like the horror of this movie. It could have just been like he fell in. Like, wouldn't that have been,
Yeah, but he's mesmerized by the idea of the concept of baseball is like this guy's whole life.
Yeah, so
that's his problem.
The reason he convinces the wife to buy the house because he's like, the doctor mentions aqua therapy, and I'm like, aqua therapy is different than just having a pool and wading through it. Like, you have to, like, somebody...
He does do his exercises in the pool in a couple scenes. So we see him doing his water aerobics.
Yeah. He gets supernaturally healthier over the course of the movie. Like, they go to the doctor at one point, and, like, his, like, MS, the doctor is like, I've never seen this before. She basically goes, your MS is in remission.
Yeah.
Like... Oh my God, it's a miracle. I'm like,
your brain looks healthier than it did before.
And he goes, they go, what have you been doing? And the doctor goes like, it's like the MS is almost like gone. I've never seen this before. And then like the family, like the wife is there, and she just goes like, well, we did start that diet. Oh, and he's been swimming a lot. And I'm like, no one finds this weird, like this miraculous recovery in like 4 days. Is too much to not be something has to be drawing suspicion here.
This is how I feel about like salt baths too. Like, you know how people are like, oh, your muscles are sore, do a little salt bath, put a little salt in there, it'll loosen it, it'll make your muscles feel good. I'm like,
I'll put some Windex in just real quick. Now you're cured. And so as the movie goes on, he gets healthier and healthier, but and this is how it ties back to like what you said, the Ryan Reynolds Amityville, because it feels so similar. He gets more and more obsessed with just the pool. Mm-hmm. Like I actually was laughing a lot because and this is a part of the movie that I found enjoyable, was just how Wyatt Russell, like, at any chance to mention the pool, he gets so excited about. He's like, oh, the pool, we'll have a pool party. Like, oh, I've been swimming a lot. Anything he can say about it or get people to swim, he's, like, so excited. Like, the son is like, I think I'm going to go in the pool. He's like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah, the pool. Like, every like,
fucking pushes the kid on the ground, sprints and jumps over him. We're like, Dad, your bum knee looks really good. It honestly, fucking jackknifes into the pool.
Honestly, there are scenes that's not that much of an exaggeration, and it's very funny. I think I think Wyatt Russell's the best part of the movie, both in his like drama, like he takes the serious parts so seriously, like that again, it doesn't really tonally work for the movie, but in like a bad movie sense, it kind of works because it's like so out of nowhere and so hyper serious. But then the next scene, he's like, out of the way, nerd, and like pushes his son so he can get into the pool faster.
I think he would have benefited from like a 2% Nick Cage influence in how crazy he got about the pool. I just needed him to get a little weirder.
Yeah. But again, there's like really not that much to this movie, right? Because, you know, so he starts to get healthier, but he also gets like more pool obsessed and like slightly meaner.
We see a little bit of family drama. We kind of see that like there's like a relationship issue between like his son, because his son's kind of like a twinkish waif as like, you know, he's
very
12-year-old.
like.
I had the same problem that this kid did. I had parents and like family who were like really into baseball, pushing me into baseball. I hated baseball. Baseball sucks dick. Fuck baseball. I was too small. My athleticism did not kick in during the baseball times.
Would it surprise any listener to know that we are not sports people?
Oh, I beg to differ. I'm a qualified athlete now, but I could relate to this kid to a certain degree, because like his dad was like, fuck, I wish my kid was good at baseball, and like the daughter is clearly like the more athletic and the more like connected on an athlete level with the father, and the father is kind of disappointed, and it's very evident throughout the movie. Like that's their big family drama, is that like, oh, dad and son aren't getting along particularly well. I wish dad was more proud of son, and son's kind of like, I wish dad would just like me instead of liking me for being good at sports.
Yeah, but that's the one of the problems is that like, yes, they kind of hint at that, but never really talk about it in the movie. You know, like there's so many different instances of like, oh, I could see that being like an interesting plot, but it just gets abandoned because they're going in like all these different directions at once. Again, to go back to the like Catholic swim team thing, the daughter like joins almost exclusively, I would think, because they had to write in a weird like a boyfriend character for one scene, so they wrote that to justify it.
It feels like they stretched their arms to the breaking point to get to... All you had to do is like, hey, new girl in town, guy likes her, he's coming over to swim in the pool, he might get some boobies.
Also, it just feels weird to include the whole, you know, if you wanted to tell a like father-son story about like, you know, like how like a father is like struggling to relate to his son, and they have difference, you know, in what is important, and you know, that's like a story you can tell, but they don't do it because then they're also like, well, and then the mom and the daughter are distant, I guess.
Are they? I feel like
they are, but they're not, because they like hint at things, but none of it is ever explored with enough depth, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it would have been a lot cleaner of a movie if instead of this whole baseball subplot, I said this the other day, I think if you had, because like, you're not like fooling anybody like trying to be like, oh, we could only make Wyatt Russell a baseball guy because he's got a baseball build. Like if you had told me he was like a Olympic swimmer, I would have been like, okay.
I don't know what sport he played, but the director did specifically want Wyatt Russell because apparently he was some level athlete at one point before acting, and then, you know, left that to do more acting. Yeah. And he was like, Wyatt Russell understands what this character's going through in an attempt to like leave his like athletic career behind.
Yeah,
which is like cool.
No, that is cool,
good,
and you can still do that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, why wouldn't you just like, the movie's about a scary pool, just double, triple, quadruple down on wet themes. Yeah. So like, instead of baseball, just say he was like Michael Phelps, like a Michael Phelps equivalent, right?
Listen, he ain't got the titties for Michael Phelps.
Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody. You give me a couple shots of Wyatt Russell in a swimming pool, like one of the long ones that with the funny little diving boards that they spring off of.
They're called Olympic pools.
One of those. You put like 0.3 seconds of a flash of that on the screen, everyone would understand, right?
Yeah.
So like, why wouldn't you do that? Just make it baseball's irrelevant to a pool. So have him be like an Olympic swimmer, and then eliminate the whole daughter character. If it needs to be a father-son thing about like, I was an Olympic swimmer, you're going to be an Olympic swimmer. Dad, I don't want to be an Olympic swimmer. If that's going to be the whole plot, like, you can do that. Just have one kid. Or just, like, you know, have it be the son that's on the swim team and have the daughter just, like you said, she's just fucking a guy in the pool. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, all like, super justified. But it's like we end up spending... There's a whole scene in the movie, you know, where... It's like when Twilight takes a break to just play baseball. Oh. That's what this... That's like...
The thunder strikes and everybody runs for their fucking baseball hats.
Yeah, that's like what this movie does. There's like we leave the house, we leave the pool, we go out, and to have a scene where Wyatt Russell's character like meets the coach and the coach's son, and like the coach's son's like a baseball star, and then you're like, oh, I guess he likes the coach's son better than his own son. It just gives you an opportunity
to see the son pouting because you're like, oh, my dad likes the baseball kid and not me. Oh man.
Yeah, but none of that whole like inadequate son plot line pays off or has any relevance to the resolution of the movie.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like worthless. So now we have this whole scene of like multiple innings of baseball happening, and then the coach is like, hey, Wyatt Russell, why don't you give it a shot? And he like has to like look coy, like, oh, I'm not supposed to do active stuff because
baseball?
I have MS.
I couldn't possibly.
But he's like, no, but I feel so much better because the pool I swim in every 20 minutes makes me feel good. And so then we're like, we have this like scene where we're supposed to feel tense, like, oh, is Wyatt Russell, like, is he up to it? You know, like, can he? It's been so long and he's so sick. Can he hit a home run? You know, I'm like thinking, but too much about baseball at this point. I'm like forgetting that there's a haunted pool. You know, like, so it's like this really long scene, and then eventually he like hits this crazy home run, and he like starts. Is my brain like rewiring itself? Does he not like get like a evil pool nosebleed at some point in this movie? Does that happen?
He does get it. It's less like a evil pool nosebleed. He gets the thing where like you see like the black veins.
Yeah, he was
like
Venom,
his eyes
dude.
change. Yeah, I was so disappointed in this fucking baseball scene because I was convinced he wished the first two pitches to build tension, obviously, but then he like cracks the fucking third one like way out of the park. It goes way up into the sky.
It's just a triumphant baseball moment.
Yeah,
what it should have happened is he should have killed a kid.
I thought he was gonna line drive with the power of the pool inside him. I thought he was gonna fucking clock that ball right down first base and fucking kill a kid. I was like, oh man, what a good fucking scene that would be if he just fucking gives a kid CTE with a baseball.
If he killed a kid with the strength of a haunted swimming pool.
Because let me tell you, as a survivor of Little League baseball, kids out there are getting clocked left and right by full-grown adults throwing baseballs. Can't even tell you. I lost a tooth playing baseball. Luckily, it was a baby tooth.
I gotta show you this was Instagram reel I saw. It was like adults playing dodgeball. It was like a parent teacher like conference sort of like team building thing, and like there was like this one guy who's like he was like playing and he was also like the referee, I guess. And so the camera is like behind him, and it's all about this like woman who's on the other team, this mom, and she's like kicking ass like left and right, and then she like calls out this one dude who's like at the forefront of the camera who's like reffing but also playing, and she's like challenges his ruling because like she's like, oh, that guy's not out, he caught the ball, and then like the guy was like, I don't care, you're wrong, and he does this crazy move where he just like has like the ball like next to him, and he does like the most minuscule of movements. He just goes like whoosh, and like the ball goes like around his back and like curves the bullet like wanted all the way around, and then he's like, at the same time he's like, I'm not wrong, you're out. Like, it's this crazy scene, and for some reason what you said reminded me of that. I gotta pull it up.
That's to me, that fulfills everything you really want of your like subplot with the dad and the son, it really like puts way more tension on that, because like if you have the dad on the field who then hits the ball and he's like, oh, I still got it, but then hurts a kid, then it's like, okay, well, your obsession with getting back to baseball is dangerous for the people around you.
Yeah.
It alienates your son from his teammates and makes him more of a loser, which makes you like him less. And I feel like it compounds the issues way more than it does if he just fucking...
He just hits a cool home run.
Yeah, hits cool home run, looks like a big, cool baseball guy.
Yeah, I honestly, I had the same expectation. I think we looked at each other and we were like waiting for like someone to get like absolutely annihilated by a baseball, you know, and it just never came. And I'm like, what a waste.
I think
there was so much tension built up, but instead it speaks to me that like it was a like first draft of a script. Like,
yeah.
It was clearly somebody who, like, I don't know, was unsure of the level of horror they want to, like, it's like, what you're making a horror movie. It's about a haunted pool. Like, go all out. Have somebody get beaten to death with a baseball.
You made a haunted horror movie. What is
a haunted horror movie?
Excuse me while I have a stroke. You made a haunted pool movie, and I didn't see one person put genitals up against a fucking jet and get like pink socked to death, fucking prolapsed in your pool.
Yeah,
that's the
like
that's the
Chuck
movie I want to
Palahniuk
watch.
stuff. Did you ever read that book?
No.
there's
that's a Fight Club guy, right?
Yeah, Chuck Palahniuk.
Yeah,
he has a horror anthology called Haunted. It's like about a bunch of writers who go on a writer's retreat in a hotel and get snowed in, and they like nobody like comes to save them, so they all slowly go crazy while they tell each other their scary stories they wrote.
that's kind of cool.
It is cool. And one of the funny thing about my connection to it is that my nana gave me that book when I was like 12. Because she said she read it, but I know she didn't, or she would not have given it to me, because the very first short story, and so like the whole book is like a bunch of writers are going crazy and telling each other their stories. It's an anthology, so each chapter is a different one of the writer's stories.
Yeah.
And the very first story is about a teenager who has a below ground pool at his home, and he's, you know, his parents don't get home until late in the evening, and he's just like, you know, going about his normal like summer ritual of he goes to the store and gets like a phallic vegetable and goes home and goes into the swimming pool and like sticks the vegetable up his butt and like jerks off in the pool. But he decides he wants like to try the extra fun thing one day where he doesn't use the vegetable. Instead, he puts his butt up to the suction thing.
Oh no!
In the pool.
Yeah.
And jerks off while he's getting his butt sucked. But then it like the pool, I guess, goes into like extra or no, it's like the jet that goes out, right?
Yeah.
And it feels good as it's jetting into your butt. But then it like the pool cleaning goes active.
Oh, it changes modes.
And it starts sucking his intestines out.
That's another
from his butt.
That's what I'm talking about. Like that.
But he's stuck like under the water.
Yeah, exactly.
He ends up having to he pulls himself out of it far enough that he can chew through his own innards and shoot up to the surface.
That's fucking crazy.
And I'm like, Nana, why did you give me this book? But that's pool horror, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what we need. We need something like that. You know, again, I will say there are, you know, all of the different family members get haunted at one point of the movie or another by the pool. And there's some really cool stuff. There's like, they do this thing where like when the people get dragged under.
Is there some really cool stuff or is there some normal cool stuff?
It's really cool. The camera work in the pool, there's like a really cool shot where the daughter is like, what's this? She's doing like the breaststroke, right? Like she's like doing
swimming
Well, she's like particularly practicing for the swim team.
Yes, you're talking
for the
about
Christian swim team.
Yes, where she's looking into the water, she's coming up for air, she's looking into the water.
Yeah, you're getting like the breaststroke sort of camera motion of like dip in the water, then like as you're getting your breath, and you can see like the side of the pool, and like when she like comes up, she can see like a figure, and then she goes down, she comes back up, and then the figure's gone. Like that's cool, and also the camera itself is on some like really cool apparatus. It's going like like in and out of the water. Like they probably had some like really cool tools. But also there's the like the more like effects heavy shots where like they're deep, because when they go under, they get dragged underwater, or towards the end where the mom ties the belt, you know, and she like dives down. You know, she goes and she like finds like the son who was like dragged under. She looks up and like it looks like, you know, 100 feet in the air is like this tiny little square of like the pool.
I'm almost
surface,
positive
you know?
This shot is from Courage the Cowardly Dog.
You know what? I can't deny it.
I really think I can find.
I'm sure this movie isn't the first movie to have thought of this particular.
It does look like a cool effect.
You know,
it's like
it's cool looking.
The pinhole of the pool, like now, you know, hundreds of feet above you, and you feel like you've been swimming for 2 seconds down.
Yeah, it's cool.
It does look cool.
Yeah. So there are good aspects to it, but like overall, man, it just like. It's mostly just leads to nothing. Like you don't feel very satisfied, because the end, right, is, you know, all this stuff happens. What's the one scene you did like was the little girl's mom.
So they've been seeing this little girl that dies in the beginning of the movie, and you keep seeing her throughout, and she's the like spirit that's trying to help point them in the direction of like, hey, the pool's haunted, don't come in here anymore, please. But the mom kind of gets some info out of the realtor at the party, and so then she starts doing some digging. We get like a little montage of her like researching all the deaths, but she finds out that the person who lived in the house before them, who I guess the most recent death before them was that little girl, they go find her mother. And, like, her mom is, like, living in this nice, like, palatial estate. She's, like, very well-to-do. She shows her that, like, she has this very successful son who she's, you know, he's, like, is he in the military or government or something?
Yeah, government.
So he has, like, put her up in this great big house, and she owes everything to her son. She's obsessed with her son. And we slowly start to figure out that she is still possessed by the pool, and this is where we find out that the pool wishing mechanics are based on you have to sacrifice someone to the pool for your wish to be fulfilled.
Right, yeah, the pool needs a sacrifice. I don't know why. Whatever.
The blood. It's the blood.
Yeah, and so, like, the, our main mom, like, goes and, you know, like you said, goes and has a chat with her. So I thought what was happening, because there was like a lot of emphasis when they're having this conversation. There's like a fountain that's like going, and I'm like, oh, it's like the pool water. She took some of the pool water, and that's. But they don't like ever confirm that, so I don't think it's necessarily. They
make a big deal about where she's pouring water into a glass and drinking it also. I think all of the like surrounding area has these little aqueducts, and I'm pretty sure, like, because the fountain water turns black when like she starts to like get really weird. So I'm pretty sure that she has some of the pool water like
this scene, this transformation was creepy. Like she starts bleed, like the mother who sacrificed her daughter so that the son could live. She starts like dripping gunky black water like out of her eyes and her nose and her mouth and her ears. It's creepy, and I think she does like the best like spooky performance of the movie.
She's easily the best like scary performance and scary scene in the whole movie. What I like is she's hooked up to like an oxygen tank too, and like she's like continuing to like crank up the oxygen throughout the scene. And then, like, once she starts kind of, like, getting overrun by the possession, the water starts coming out of her nose,
starts dripping down into it.
Yeah, it goes backwards into the air tank. I was like, ugh, nasty.
But again, so like that also, I agree with you. I think the whole area, what they seem to imply, the water in this town, like seems to have this quality. So then, like, why at the end of the movie, they're like, and the reason why the Waller family is being affected, but the family who lived there before them wasn't, was because the family just didn't use the pool because they knew a girl drowned there.
Yeah. So
like this effect is like this pool is what does it, right? Like,
yes.
Only this pool. The evil thing is in this pool. But it kind of also is in all the other water, so why is it relegated to just this pool?
It seems like all of the water in their house is attached to this like aqueduct. It's not just the pool water.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Is like why it seems like the creature is confined, or the ghosts or everything are confined to this one pool.
Yeah.
But it also seems like the water at the same time affects like this whole town. So why is it both? At the one time, it's like free to roam about this whole town and like kill this lady from like, across the state, But then also, the pool needs the sacrifice, like, because and if we just put dirt in the pool and don't use it, it's over. But like, no, it's like in the whole town, or is it? I don't know. It's both like it's not specific. It's unclear. The rules, who knows what's going on with it. I feel like you can't be... You have to be, like, again, completely, like, Lovecraftian ambiguous, or you have to be really specific. Otherwise, it's not scary because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, like, that... But that part is the coolest part, I think, when they encounter that lady. And then it's just a bunch of bullshit until the climax, and the climax is just the pool finally, like... gets it's decided it wants the son, right?
Yes.
Because the son would be the most...
He's the most vulnerable.
Disappointing to lose for the family, I guess. Because they fucking hate the daughter. They're like, whatever. We don't even care she was fucking that guy. I hope she gets out of here.
I think it's the opposite. I think they're like...
They don't care about the son?
Yeah, I think the water realizes, like, hey, if the dad is the one that I save and he gets back his baseball career and the family thrives, that's how I get them to sacrifice someone. I can convince him the son sucks. You don't even like the son.
I thought for sure that a baseball bat was going to be more important to the movie.
You would think in the baseball haunted pool movie.
I was waiting like to see how similar the solution to this movie was going to be to Signs. I thought it was gonna be like, are we just gonna get
a swing
Wyatt
away?
Russell swinging at glasses of evil water in the house? Like, imagine if the son just starts leaving water everywhere, like, and the end of the movie is just Wyatt Russell being like, "Not my family," and he's just like cracking all the bottles of water.
Swing away, Wyatt. Swing away. God, fucking Signs. We're due for a rewatch of Signs.
If I was the pool, I would just be like, you have to put me in a water bottle and flip it and get it to land in one try, or I take your little boy away. Can you do it, Wyatt Russell?
Can you do it on the first try? Do you have the finesse?
It's me, the haunted pool.
Oh, I would love if the pool had like a cool voice.
The haunted bird bath. I'm not as mean. But I'm over here in the corner of the yard. But yeah, so the conclusion of the movie is like why Russell gets like fully possessed by the pool, because like he gets cut earlier in the movie, which I guess is like the infection point, really, but also it serves a dual purpose because he gets cut really, really bad.
Yeah,
and he doesn't even question it. In fact, he's like, "Ow! Can't wait to swim in this." Yeah, like, he gets like one of the deepest like hand cuts I've seen like in a movie, and he's like, whatever.
It makes it doubly surprised.
Can't wait to swim, and like for the rest of the movie, because like what happens is like after he cuts himself, because he's like elbow deep in like this pool sphincter, right? And he like gets cut.
It's just called a drain.
It's a pool sphincter. In this movie, it's a sphincter. In a regular pool, it's a drain. But
Fair.
this thing's living, right?
Fair.
And so he like cuts himself, and then gunky water like bubbles up, and so the whole movie, like the ghost is like symbolized, or the thing is symbolized by, like icky brown water, you know. So like, there's a scene earlier in the like whole picnic like party where he's like playing chicken with like the son he wished he had. Yeah. You know, like, he's got the coach's son on his shoulders, and they're chicken fighting with somebody else, and he like ends up backing up too far into the deep end, and he's like, "Oh, I can't breathe," and I'm like, just toss the kid off, buddy. But he's like so competitive, right? Like he's got to win, so he's like, "I'll just drown as long as I win chicken." But no, while he's underwater, he gets like two dementors
fly up into his nose.
The dementors, they fly into his nose. But then like, so then he's possessed like for real by the water. He tries to like, he kicks the absolute living shit out of his daughter. Like she takes a like uncharacteristic beating for this movie. There's like a little like set it and forget it trap where a glass of water breaks and leaves like an extra spiky bit on the floor. And normally, like, I think they played it too quickly in this movie, because I like those types of scenes, but you need to break that glass like at the like 40-minute mark, and then like when the movie is about to end, that needs to, like, you can't have it be like a minute and a half apart.
Yeah,
like right, like you.
I didn't forget about it, but I will say when she slips and falls and like eats shit on the glass, I was like, oh, ooh, ow!
All five of us in the theater felt that one.
All five of us.
Yeah, it was that one was pretty. It was like, ooh, that one hurt. But yeah, there's a good little chase sequence between Wyatt Russell and the daughter. I do appreciate how badly they like kick the shit out of her, because I hate when movies are like afraid to like beat up their
pull punches on
their cast, and I'm like, no, make them like make it look like they suffered a little bit. Otherwise, what am I doing this for?
Yeah. I'm
suffering. They should suffer. And at the same time, while that whole fight is happening, the mom is going to save the son. She's like, he gets dragged underwater by the like fat lumpy ghost that's been plaguing them the whole time. But he's also she's being aided by the little girl. Your son's over there. You know, that basically that's all she equates to, is just like a sign. Like she just points towards the sun. But yeah, so the mom does the whole scuba diving thing. She does this crazy maneuver where, so she like ties a hose to her waist because she knows that the like pool's like fucky, right? From an experience she had earlier in the movie. And she swims down. This is where we do get a cool shot of like all of the people who've been sacrificed to the pool.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where like the mom like finally reaches the sun, and then the shot like pulls out, and you just see all these like ghosts like slowly swimming towards her. Super cool. But then she's like, the mom can't like find her way out, so she unties the hose and then like takes like a breath. She was like,
yeah, she tries to breathe through the hose.
Breathes, and I'm like,
can't do it.
I'm like, there's no breathable air in that thing.
Also, like the first 3 feet of that hose are water.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's just how it works.
But you know, she pulls that maneuver, which is wild. But she's able to eventually save the son. She swims like 8 miles back up to the surface. And so all of the family, the daughter, the mom, the son, end up like sprawled out on the pool patio, like dripping, and then like
they're trying to do CPR on the son.
Yeah, scary dad Wyatt like comes out and he's like, I'm evil. Look at my eyes. They're doing that thing where all the black spider webs go all over the place. And then the daughter, like, you know, she takes Chekhov's baseball bat from earlier in the movie, and finally, like, she uses the bat to like kneecap the dad.
Oh,
and I'm like,
she pummels his knee. This guy is destined for a wheelchair.
Yeah, even if his like MS was cured, he now still can't play baseball because his daughter just disintegrated his kneecap with one baseball.
Captain Falcon in fucking Super Smash. He just fucking
savage.
Fucking
she
gonzo.
Really, but it doesn't matter anyway because they do manage to save the son, but then he like immediately gets like beset upon again by the ghost, right? Because the ghost is like. There was a scene earlier where Wyatt Russell, they tried to like take him away like to the hospital. They were like, "You're too obsessed with this pool. We have to take you to the hospital." This is before they know he's possessed. They're just like, "You're too into the pool. We gotta go." And so he starts like puking black water when he gets too far. If that doesn't make his obsession with the pool better, I don't. He's so obsessed with the pool. He's got psychosomatic symptoms. He's vomiting pool water. But so the son starts it starts puking and vomiting and like retching and writhing, and they're like, oh no, and again they have no reason to know any of this either. They did like a very the mom did a very surface level like 40-minute research project at a library about like what is causing this. So she has no idea what the rules are, but they're like, oh no, the son, like they're gonna take him, because reasons. Because they've claimed that the pool's going to take him. And so the dad is like, no, they'll take me. And he just like wades into the pool and go. He does the ending of A Star Is Born, where he just swims into the ocean forever and he just never comes back. That's what he does. Because he just swims underwater and then they're like, I guess Dad's gone.
I guess baseball Dad's gone forever.
Dad's gone. He swam
away.
And that's it. Problem solved. For no reason. Like, why were those the rules? Like, you just, like, get to go back on the deal and be like, nah, just take me. Never mind.
Cut to the next day. There's a fucking huge pile of dirt, and they're all like, at least, the pool's filled in. It'll be okay now.
The daughter says, hey, we can stay here now if the pool's going to be filled in. And then they're like, the mom's like, no, we got to go. And they're like, but no, what if, other people buy the house? Then it'll just start happening again because they'll put a pool back in.
Yeah.
And then they go, okay. And that's the end of the movie.
No, they say we're going to stay because Dad wouldn't have wanted that to happen to other people.
Yeah, whatever. They might as well not said anything. See, what I think would have been a better ending is if they stayed because because they could still hang out with Dad. Like if you had Ghost Wyatt Russell who's just like sadly like sitting in the shallow end of the pool and he just like lives there.
That would be kind of fun.
Right? That would be fun because it would give like sort of a happy ending but in a twisted way. Where in this, the one they had is like Baby's first ending. It's like Stephen King could write a better ending, and we all know he's got struggles, right? But he could write a better ending to this.
What we're missing from this movie is a shot where someone goes underwater and then comes up, and there's like 100 ghosts standing around the pool.
That never happened, which is surprising. Happened. Yeah,
that's the shot.
When you could have had that is
anytime
they were doing something on a baseball field.
Yeah. You could cut 3% of like baseball out of this movie and make it 3 times scarier.
Yeah. But you see what I mean, right? Like you could have made this like Hush, right? Like you could have made it a single location movie. The premise of the short film was really good. You could just take that short film and like expand upon what had already happened in that, like, and do something interesting. Even it doesn't have to be single location. Like you could have had like multiple days of like a woman being like haunted in her pool. I think you could still have the family aspects too, but again, put more swim stuff in it. Why baseball? Just make him an Olympic swimmer and keep it in the water.
I think in favor of developing more of like a mythicality to it and like more of a lore, they overdeveloped their already pretty good premise. I think they just put too much into it. I think they should have maybe, like you said, simplified the story a little bit. It doesn't have to have rules. It doesn't have to have like Just show me the ghosts. Show me some cool night swims. Like,
and if it does have rules,
kill somebody,
and you want to, if you want to make that kind of, like property, like if you want your IP to be that vibe where it's like, oh, this is like like it follows, like it's got these rules, and as long as you like abide by these rules, that's like the parameters of the movie. You have to stick to it, and you can't be all over the map with it.
No, you can't be going.
But
to
you
the
can be
field.
vague if you want. That could have worked also. You just didn't pick either. You did like a weird in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what it was, I think it was like a sort of a case of nerves of doing what you already did, but how do I make it better? Like it's, I think it's not. It was just like
how do I impress Daddy
I think
James
it was
Wan?
I think it was an overcompensation.
Yeah,
for a really already solid premise. Just thinking like, well, I have to. They already saw this. Like, how do I make it even more? And it just too much stuff got tossed in.
Yeah,
it got way too convoluted and just it's a pulp heavy movie. It could have been a lot lighter, But I don't really feel too bad about it at the end of the day because it is January. It's a real touch and go month for all movies.
If this is what Blumhouse is putting to the front of the pack and going like, here's our sacrificial lamb, throw him in the deep end in January, nobody will see it by fucking February, we'll have something else out and it'll be fucking bangers. No one will even care about this. Look at this, we just got Atomic Monster, we're gonna fucking dominate.
So now this brings me to a question I wanted to ask you. So I've heard some rumblings online about different people feel that Blumhouse has gotten a bit bloated in there. Do you think that they are? Do you agree with? I've heard people say that they used to focus on quality over quantity, and it has been reversed. Now they just kind of Blumhouse is just slapped on every horror movie almost. It seems.
I think they're definitely dominating releases, but I think with the addition of Atomic Monster, I think that'll, like I said in the last episode, kind of like condense some of their quality, and I think it'll give them the opportunity to be not as spread so thin, so that the releases that we do get out of them, varying in quality, I think as a whole, like all boats are going to rise in that tide.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I actually don't even find that they. I know that Blumhouse, their release schedule has been wild the last few years.
Yeah.
They've had so many things, and a lot of them not very great movies. There's been plenty of stinkers, but I also don't think that's really necessarily bad. I mean,
no,
like look at Troma, right? Like they've built an entire like well-loved
cult
library of bad movies that people love. I think we should let Blumhouse become they give us lots of good stuff, but let them like be a studio. Let them make their bad movies that we're gonna love because they're stupid.
And the other thing, it gives this dude an opportunity to cut his teeth in the fucking major leagues, like we talked about. Like, here's a guy who did a short, who did maybe a couple other projects, but now he's got the opportunity to really show people like, hey, like I can make a full-fledged movie, with your resources. Give me the next project and let me do something a little crazier. It's kind of like training wheels. If we don't give creators an opportunity to start somewhere, then we get no one. And like all of
we're just stuck
studios,
with the same, this is how we got these crazy like the Snyder cult. Like we got it because like not horror Hollywood is just fucking recycles the same like four dudes for everything. I agree with you. I think there should be an outlet for people to like grow.
And it's the same thing with A24, like we talked about last time. It's like, you know what? They want to branch out. They want to do some more mainstream stuff. Fine. Let them do that. You don't think, you think they're going to like turn away from the bread and butter that they've been fucking building their brand on the entire time? Just like, let's give a fucking weirdo indie guy a bunch of money and see what he fucking does. Like, I think it's, let them play in the shallow end for a little while. That's totally fine. When they're ready to swim over to the deep end and play with the big boys, that's cool.
I agree, and you're right. I think you're very right. And you know what? For all the negative we had to say about this movie, it was still I'd say a pretty competent movie for somebody's first feature film.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, I don't know if I could do better. And again, I think the biggest problems of the movie comes with the writing, which granted is also the director who wrote it, but I would say it's poorly written, but competently directed. Just because the writer and the director were the same, you know, if you had gotten like a really like insanely good, like a real crack writer for this, and he still directed it, I think we'd be way more excited about it. I just think maybe like writing this fleshed out version of a story he'd already written might not have been the best thing for him.
No.
But I think with everything else, you know, with everything else he had, he pretty much, you know, knocked it out of the park. There was good scares when they happened. There just wasn't that many of them, and they were poorly written in.
Yeah.
But like, it's like almost, if it was a different writer that wrote it poorly, I feel conflicted, right? Because I'm like, I want to say like he just had a bad writer, but it's like also, but he was his writer.
I mean, I think he's kind of getting like Rumpelstiltskin a little bit, right? Like they kind of they locked him in the tower, and they're like, "Hey, we saw that you could spin this fucking like hair into gold one time.
Yeah,
I need you to do like 300 of those overnight. Here's a budget." And then I just think it was kind of like, you know, you're trying to extract too much out of this movie.
Yeah.
Premise-wise. I think it's just, you know, leave it as a short, let it be a short, let it make something new, but...
So that's Night Swim. I would say, overall, what we got out of this is keep an eye out for Bryce McGuire. Check out his next work.
We'll see what he does, you know? What is it, Bad Bloom? What did we say he was?
That's something about Bloom. But yeah, that's what I got out of it. An alright, mostly bad movie. Pop it on during your first like summer pool party. No one's gonna watch it anyway, so
yeah.
Pop it on when it's streaming on Netflix. Otherwise, I think you can skip it. I wouldn't spend your hard-earned $18 to go to the movies and see it. But yeah, that's it for Night Swim, I think, right?
Absolutely. Let's fucking drain this pool and move on to bigger, better, brighter, more beautiful anything.
Yeah, I think coming up next we might have a video game podcast coming up for you guys.
We very much do. If you've been following us over on the Twitch streams, we've been playing through a very entertaining Resident Evil-esque kind of scary location puzzle kind of game. How would you define?
It's a survival horror puzzle game. Most survival horror games tend to have puzzles because I think a lot of people are terrified of being confronted by how dumb they actually are. You know? So there's something about the puzzle that fits in extra well with the horror genre, you know?
But we'll be talking about that next week. If you want to see some game footage for yourself, head on over to our Twitch. You can watch all the VODs,
links
of
down
previous
below
streams. And
right now we're playing Lies of P, which is a horror action game where you play as Pinocchio, running through a city that's been besieged by evil puppet automatons. It's a bizarre, terrifying, and very difficult game, but it's been a very good time. You should come watch us play it, because honestly, I can't even really describe it. You have to just see it happen.
Yeah,
it's a wild video game. But yeah, that is everything this week from us here at the Devil's Cut. Right?
Yeah, join us on let's see, this comes out on Tuesday, so Monday already passed. Join us on Friday nights. We're going to be streaming an extra day during the week there on Twitch. So Mondays and Friday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep, and you can get all of our notifications about the streams, the podcast, and other news on the Discord, which the link for that is also in the description, right?
Hella links.
It will be. If it's not already.
It is. Scroll down. Do you see that link? Click that link. You see those other links? Click all those too.
Oh, okay.
It's me, the bird bath again.
No,
I came
no,
back.
no.
Oh, don't new character to the show. It's me, the haunted bird bath.
No,
Saying-
I refuse.
Oh, well, Eric doesn't like it, but everybody else who's listening, thank you for listening to the Devil's Cut podcast. Creep it real.